So hello, in this video we'll be further continuing our series on computer networks. See, the first thing we need to understand is the difference between internet and the internet. I mean the internet with a lowercase I and the internet with an uppercase I. So there's these things, they also have a difference between them. So if we talk about the internet with a lowercase I, it is essentially a group of few more connected networks. So these are 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 computer networks that have been connected together. So it's a group of few computer networks, while the internet with an uppercase I, it's a group of hundreds of computer networks, hundreds and thousands of interconnected computer networks. Now, if you just look out at the history of the computer network, see, if you are talking about the history, let us look at the first network that was created. So if the first preliminary form of internet that was called ARPANET. It was called ARPANET. It was by a research agency called ARPA, Advanced Research Projects Agency. And now in this ARPA, they laid a foundation for ARPANET, so the idea that ARPA used was that each host computer will be assigned to a specialized computer. Each host computer will be assigned to a specialized computer called the IMP. This IMP will actually be running a software which will be called as NCP, Network Control Protocol. This IMP will be running a software NCP which will be responsible for a communication between few of our devices. So if you talk about ARPANET, which was first created in 1969. So in 1963, first they were talking about ARPA. ARPA was thinking of forming a network which is known as ARPANET. In 1967, a company called as ACM, it gathered a meeting and where the idea of ARPANET was being discussed. And in 1969, ARPANET became a reality, and ARPA gave birth to ARPANET. So what happened in this ARPANET is that the first computer network was established, and the 4 nodes, 4 computers or 4 nodes, first at the University of California at Los Angeles, second at the University of California at Santa Barbara, third at the Stanford Research Institute, or which is known as SRI, and the University of Utah. So the 4 computers, they established a preliminary form of a network that was, you could say, the first computer network that was established. So the main takeaway is that ARPA was the company. It was a research agency which wanted to share research papers or research findings between one another, and hence they gave birth to ARPANET, which was the earliest form of the internet. And under using this ARPANET technology and the IMP and the NCP software, 4 nodes were connected. Okay, so now let's look at different types of communication links. So these communication links, they form a solid or a wireless medium. Based on that, a physical medium can exist, and hence will be called as the guided medium, where the information signal or the bits will proceed along a particular path and along a solid medium. Or it could be an unguided medium where no solid medium exists, and the information signal is propagated through the atmosphere. So if you look at the guided technologies, we have the very first guided technology, that is twisted pair. It was made in 1980s. From 1980s, twisted pair was used. Twisted pair consists of 2 copper wires. See, this is the copper wire 1 and this is the copper wire 2. So twisted pair consists of 2 copper wires. They have been arranged in a regular double helical structure, like in a spiral pattern. So like our DNA has different strands, like that in here, 2 copper wires are intertwined between them. Why such an intertwining exists? Because it they said that if we intertwine the wire, then electrical interference is significantly reduced. Since electrical significance is reduced, so then corruption of packets does not occur and data loss also does not occur. So this is a very technology where that is the classic legacy technology of 1980s, which is known as the twisted pair. And people thought that twisted pair would give up easily and it would not provide efficient speed, but as enhancement and advancement has occurred, much advancement has occurred in the twisted pair technologies, and now the twisted pair, the unshielded twisted pair technology, it has a potential of delivering high speeds, and certain twisted pairs can even deliver speed up to 10 GB per second. So it is quite it stands against the optical fiber technology. Now if you just look at the coaxial cable, the coaxial cable is also another technology that came after the twisted pair, and it also consists of a copper wire. But here what happens is that a copper wire is there and another copper wire is there, and they are arranged coaxially. Of course, they have a common center, they share a common center. So these copper wires, they have a kind of an insulation shield where which provides insulation, and these copper wire have been particularly been used in the cable TV technologies. So when cable TV network, these coaxial cables are employed to deliver the signals. After the coaxial cable technology, we have the optical fiber technology. See, the optical fiber technology is a very new, innovative technology that provides symmetric data delivery or symmetric data access. What does symmetrical data access mean? See, if we use twisted pair and coaxial cable, the design and the architecture of the twisted pair and coaxial cable network is such that the download speed for client is much greater than the upload speed. The download speed is much greater than the upload speed. So we say that the access is asymmetric because download speed is very. So if you just have like asymmetric means that the downloading speed is very much greater than the upload speed. But optical fiber carries symmetric data delivery. So here both the download speed as well as the upload speed is quite good. Yes. And optical fiber technology is a bit expensive. Like if you compare it to twisted pair and coaxial cable, it is more expensive. However, the first thing, if you just need to remember, may it be any link, may it be twisted pair, may it be coaxial cable, may it be optical fiber, any communication link, any solid communication link, for that the cost of the link itself, the cost of the channel link itself is very less as compared to the labor cost. The cost of links is very much less than the labor cost, even order of magnitude is lower, or you could say the labor cost is order of magnitude is higher than the cost of the communication link. So it hardly matters in terms of economic viability that which link we have to choose. However, the optical fiber technology uses TIR, the total internal reflection. It uses the TIR, total internal reflection of optical signals, because optical fiber will use optical signals. So TIR technology is used and to propagate the signals along, and if you know about total internal reflection, no data loss or no attenuation, no signal loss occurs due to reflection. No signal loss occurs in total internal reflection. So optical fiber employs total internal reflection and no loss of signal occurs along with the cable. Okay. The important thing to note about optical fiber is one more thing, that optical fiber has an OC number or an optical carrier number, OCN. So a signal, where n is an integer, n is a, rather we could say n is a natural number, n is a natural number. So it can be OC1, OC2, OC3, OC4. So actually this n is a multiplier. So we can have OC1 is 1 into 51.8 MB per second. So an OC1 cable will have a maximum bandwidth of 1 into 51.8 megabyte per second. This will be not megabyte, this is megabit per second. Say there is a small b. So if I say if it is MB, it will be mega byte, but if I say it's m small b, it will be mega bit. So OC1 is 1 into 51.8 megabit per second. If it is OC2, then I said it is a multiplier, it will be 2 into 51.8 MB per second. 2 into 51.8 megabit per second would be the speed that would be the maximum bandwidth that will be offered by the optical fiber of one OC2 cable, OC2 optical cable. Similarly, OC3 it will be 3 into 51.8 and so on megabit per second. This is how different numbers, different optical carrier numbers have been given. Now, the network that we have for an optical network, it also is an optical network. So there are actually different types of optical networks. So we can have a AON, an active optical network, and we can have a PON, which is a passive optical network, an active and a passive. Now these networks, they have a different categories and they have different characteristics. And if you say, next we look at the electromagnetic spectrum. See, if we're talking about unguided media, or where the media where the computing signals have been sent across the atmosphere, we know that radio waves, these radio waves, they are particularly used for transmission of electrical computing signal. Let us understand why only radio waves. See, the entire electromagnetic spectrum consists of, if you could say, RMI, VU, XDC, or radio waves, microwaves, infrared waves, visible rays, ultraviolet rays, X-rays, gamma rays, and cosmic rays. Now these rays, they have been arranged such that, in a manner I have seen, such that as we move from the cosmic rays to the radio waves, as we move from top to down, that is from the cosmic waves to the radio waves, the wavelength of the signal increases. So the cosmic waves have very low wavelength, gamma rays have significantly a slighter higher wavelength, and X-rays have slighter more wavelength, and radio waves have the maximum wavelength. Plus, the second trend that is that the penetration power also decreases. So cosmic rays, since they have very low wavelength, they have the highest penetration power. Gamma rays have slightly less penetration power, and as we move down towards the radio, towards the microwaves and radio waves, the penetration power greatly reduces. Since we don't want the electromagnetic signals to penetrate much, as we don't want the data signal to actually penetrate into our bones, penetrate into the human skeletal system and cause damage, a signal with electromagnetic spectrum having less penetration, having the least penetration power, is actually desirable. Hence, radio waves have been employed because they have the least penetration power, they have the lowest energy, and they have the highest wavelength. So, if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, radio waves are ideal for communication, for communication. Hence, radio waves have been used extensively to form a network which is known as a terrestrial radio network. Now these radio networks, that actually are not only used for transmission of data from the radio satellite to the from the radio cell tower to the personal handheld device. But actually radio networks also exist at different ranges. So suppose we use a wireless keyboard that operates on a radio network, so then only a very small range network, then so that we can use the keyboard onto our computer. A very small ranged radio network, short range radio network exists. But now if we talk about the cell towers, so how we get our signals from our mobile phone, then the base station or the cell tower, which actually sends and receives radio signals, and helps us on which the entire telecom industry is based on, is not a very short range radio network but a long range radio network. So the radio networks can also be short ranged or a very long range radio networks. And why radio waves have been used? So the terrestrial radio networks are an example of unguided media. Unguided medium. Okay, now unguided medium, and why radio waves have been used, that also have explained you. Next, we look at another type of radio network, which is known as satellite radio channels. See, now we have discussed the terrestrial radio channels, so it means land-to-land radio channel. But if you talk about a satellite radio network, what we have some radio satellites that are actually geostationary satellites. Satellites that are geostationary. See, what does geostationary mean? See, stationary, as this is something which is not moving. Geostationary means something that is not moving with respect to the earth. So if we just talk about the rotation speed, the speed at which the earth rotates is actually 8 kilometer per second. So what we do is, as the earth, if we rotate a geostationary satellite and we put it into the orbit of the earth, if we put a geostationary satellite, see, it will be called geostationary only if it is not moving with respect to the earth. So if you put a geostationary satellite into an orbit around the earth, what will happen? The gravitational force between the earth and the satellite will actually provide the necessary force to keep the satellite into circular path around the earth. So if we have the earth, this is the, you could say, satellite. So the gravity will actually provide the necessary centripetal force that will be needed to rotate, to put this satellite into a round circular path around the earth. And since this gravity is a perpetual force that will always exist, so this such kind of a force drives the satellite in circular path, and no fuel is needed for moving the satellite, such satellite. And why we're trying to keep it geostationary? Because if there is a transmitter and a receiver pair, see, if the satellite has a transmitter and the earth has a receiver, then their respective orientation will be fixed. So if you have a satellite here, if you have a transmitter here, and if you have a transmitter here on the satellite, and we have a receiver here on earth. This is the transmitter on the satellite, this is the receiver here on the earth. The relative orientation between from the transmitter to the receiver will be fixed, and it will not change because the satellite is itself not moving with respect to the earth. So as the speed the speed with which the earth rotates, the satellite is also rotating in that manner. Okay, so what will happen? The relative orientation will not change, so the signal will be it's a signal that can penetrate as the radio signal, and it is in correct orientation as with the receiver on the earth. So the communication will be made possible, and a satellite radio channel network would be established. Okay. someone can ask what is the speed of a geostationary satellite. So you can say the rotation speed of a geostationary satellite is the same as the rotation speed of the Earth, which is 8 km per second. So next we look at how different nodes or the machines, they are arranged physically in a computer network. So as you know, see, different type of different ways we can connect different nodes, and as per that we change the network topology. So how the different nodes are arranged, it is known as the network topology, and different topologies are possible. So first one which we are going to discuss is known as the mesh topology. In the mesh topology, what happens is that every node is connected to every other node. So a dedicated link exists between one particular node to the other node. So as you can see, if you use the permutation and combination, we can say whenever we select two nodes, a particular link is formed. So the number of cables that will be connected and that will exist in a mechanism where every node is connected directly connected to another node will be nC2. N is the number of nodes, so that will be 4C2 here, which will be equal to 4 into 3 by 2, that is 6. So we say 6 cables are there. So it's kind of a handshake that every other node will connect to another node, and such a connection will foster one cable connection, and so the number of cables can be formed by the formula nC2. 6 cables will be there. Now the number of ports, see, that are needed per device. So we have a per node. Each node here is connected to every other node, so that will be n-1. So if we have n devices present, then from one device n-1 connections will come out to connect every other device, every remaining n-1 devices. So n-1 would be the number of ports that will be needed to connect every remaining device, so n-1. Now we'll be checking another parameter, whether it is fault tolerant. See, fault tolerant means that if some kind of a link is broken or some kind of a node fails, then will an alternate path exist to that particular node. See, for example, we have this mesh network. Here, if this particular link it fails, this particular communication link fails, then an alternate path from this node to this node exists. So we can go like this, or we can go like this, or we can go like this. So that particular node, the connection to that particular node will not be disrupted even if the direct link fails. So this mesh network is highly, you could say, fault tolerant, because alternate path can exist. But is it cost effective? See, maximum cabling is occurring here. Every device has a particular has a particular dedicated part to every other device. So a huge amount of cabling is required, and cabling is cost intensive. So we could say that if this method is not cost effective at all. So these are for the mesh network. Next we look at another network which is known as the ring network. So the ring network, the nodes, they have been connected in a circular manner across a ring. A ring is actually a wire. So if we have some nodes, say A, B, C and D, then a ring is connected from A to B, B to C, C to D. So here what happens is that if we need for A to communicate to D, communication will occur either in a one-way ring. See, there are two types of rings, a one-way and two-way ring. If there is a one-way ring, then the communication from A to D will be either in a clockwise or an anti-clockwise fashion. So if we have a one-way clockwise ring, then if we want to send a data packet from A to D, it will first move from A to B, then B to C, then C to D in a clockwise fashion. If we can't move anti-clockwise and say, okay, from A to D we can directly move in an anti-clockwise fashion, no, because it's a clockwise ring. So in a one-way clockwise ring, what will happen? The data packet, it has to go to through different nodes. So we can say so in a circular fashion. So here what we will say, if we have n nodes, then n amount of cables will be required. Number of devices will be n. If there are n number of nodes, n cables will be required. And what will be the ports? See, one will be the receiving port, one will be the sending port. So there will be per node there will be 2 cables that will be required. First connection to the immediate left, and then another connection to the immediate right. Now, will this network be fault tolerant? See, if even one particular link fails, C and D fails, can we send the data packet to A to D? We can't, because first it will move from A to B to C. Now C and D has failed. We can't send the data to D. Similarly, if we want to send our data from C to D, C to A, and this link B to C fails, then we can send it from C to D and D to A, since it's a clockwise fashion. So sometimes we can send, sometimes we can't send. So it actually becomes a problem. So we'll say it's not fault tolerant, because always you're not able to send the data packet, and hence it is not fault tolerant. Is it cost effective? See, the number of cables, they are just have been n, that is equal to the number of nodes. So yes, it is cost effective. Now what happens about the two-way ring? See, in a two-way ring, what happens is that everything is same, but here both options are open. We can send the data whenever we want. We can send the data either in a clockwise fashion, or we can send the data in anti-clockwise fashion. So actually not a single circle is there, but you could say two rings exist. Whenever one ring will move the data in clockwise fashion, other ring will move the data in anti-clockwise fashion. So at the time, if we want to send the data from A to B, use the clockwise ring. If we want to send the data from A to D, we can use the anti-clockwise ring. So it is both. It is two-way. It's both clockwise and anti-clockwise. So so the number of cables, it becomes 2n, and number of ports is also becomes 4 per device. Is it fault tolerant? Yes, it is fault tolerant, because if one particular link has failed and then another particular link exists, and that particular link can be used to drive the packet forward. So yes, it is a fault tolerant. And is it cost effective? See, the number of nodes, it is not as cost effective as a one-way ring, but not as cost intensive as a mesh. So we could say somewhat. Yes, it is somewhat cost effective. So we have a ring network also. Next we have a bus network. On a bus network, what happens is that there is a central cable. This is known as a backbone cable. We have a central cable. This is known as the backbone cable. Stemming out from this backbone cable are different nodes. So this is node 1, this is node 2, this is node 3, this is node 4. So from a central backbone cable, different nodes, they stem out. And so if you want to send the data to 4, so all the data signal, all the data packets, they actually move into the move through the backbone cable. Suppose if a node wants to communicate, if the node 1 wants to communicate to node 4, it will push it to the central shared backbone cable, and through that backbone cable, the data will pass from 1 to 4. So now the amount of cables, so it will be n plus 1. N would be the number of nodes that are present, and 1 would be that for the backbone cable. Number of cables will be n plus 1. Is it fault tolerant? No, it is not fault tolerant, because if the backbone cable fails, then all the connections have been disrupted. So yes, it's not fault tolerant. Number of ports per node, we need only one port per node, one port to attach the node itself to the backbone cable. And is it cost effective? Yes, it is cost effective, because the number of cables have been significantly reduced. It's only just n plus 1. So yes, it is cost effective. One more point we can arise in a bus network is it a very secure network? See, if you just think, a bus topology based network is not actually secure. Because why it's not secure? See, if we have a particular backbone cable, this is a backbone cable, is a shared medium. Backbone cable is a shared medium, and due to which every other node can send pushes the data packet into the backbone cable. So if a particular attacker has maliciously accessed one particular node, then it can access any other data through the backbone cable. So say if nodes 1 and 4 were communicating, and the hacker has particular malicious access to the node number 3. Then when 1 is sending data to 4, then the hacker at node number 3 can intercept it. So yes, it's a very insecure network. So bus network is not very secure. Next, what we have is a star cable. In a star network, what happens is that there is a central hub. From the central hub, different devices are being collected. So what happens is that whenever a data needs to be sent, it goes to the central. It goes via a central hub. So if a node 1 wants to communicate to node 2, then it will send that data packet to the hub, and from the hub it will go to that particular node number 2. So yes, a different what you could say a central hub is needed for a central hub acts as a receiver also, as a sender also, and it is where it's a junction through which it's a common place at which all nodes have been connected to. So every node first sends the data to the hub, and from the hub it is routed towards the destination. Is it fault tolerant? So it is not fault tolerant at all, because if the central hub fails, then all the connections have been lost. But so what is the advantage of it? Advantage is the number of cables. The number of cables are actually n. So what we are saying is that we can see that there is a trade-off between the number of cables, that is cost, and the fault tolerance. So if we have a fault tolerant network, then actually it needs a lot of cost, because number of cables will increase. Plus, if we want to have a highly cost-effective network, then we lose on fault tolerance. So there is a trade-off between fault tolerance and cost effectiveness. So number of cables would be n, number of ports would be 1 per device, and will it be cost effective? Yes, it will be cost effective. So you could say that different techniques to connect different data nodes onto a network, and a hybrid network topology also exists. Hybrid is, we can use a bus network. So we have a bus network here. From that bus network, we can have a hub to the different networks have been connected in star topology. Plus we could have a mesh here. So in a hybrid network, so we have a hybrid topology network where different topologies can combine together, and a new, you could say, hybrid topology may exist. So it's a composite topology. So it has different topologies inside of it. It can have a mesh topology, there is a star topology, and it's a bus topology. So this kind of a topology also exists practically, and this is known as a hybrid topology. So I hope you understood the different topologies in this video.